welcome to another episode of Reacting to My Romance Novel. It's getting good. And it looks like this is the episode before the big finale, so this is going to be a tiny bit shorter in order to keep a big scene with the last episode, and I'm sure you're as choked up as I am that this is ending, and I want to find out for myself. So let's just go ahead and pick up where we left off, okay? Through the front window, he saw the tree twinkling dimly, but not with the same warmth as the last time they had decorated it together. The memories of their time together constantly ran through his mind, no matter how hard he tried to brush them aside. Why couldn't he just forget her? He decided that he should go inside since he had said that he would visit her. It was Christmas after all. He walked up the drive, noticing how awkwardly he was walking, and adjusted. Taking a deep breath, he knocked. He looked at the wreath, and gazing upward, he spotted the mistletoe and grinned, knowing how much Claire had loved mistletoe. "How awesome is it that a parasitic plant is reason enough to get people to kiss?" she had said after they kissed under the white berries during their first and only Christmas together. He looked down to see Claire staring at him. He hadn't heard her come out, and how ridiculous he must have looked that when she opened the door, she found him staring straight at the ceiling. Claire raised an eyebrow. "Getting ideas?" David cocked his head. "You tell me?" Rolling her eyes, she let him in. She found it shocking that he had actually showed up, right after she had decided to give up on him. Talk about timing. However, she was determined to keep her head, and so far, she was doing pretty well. David immediately smelled cookies. Forgetting she had an oven, since she never used it, he walked directly to the kitchen to find out. He was half right. It was a candle burning that was supposed to smell like cookies, and, well, it fooled him anyway. "Oh, no cookies," he said, slightly put off. "You're in my house, David. Of course there is nothing cooking. Unless you're in the kitchen, I guess." "Hey, don't be that way. You're a good cook." Claire cocked her eyebrow again. "I mean, just not with food." Grinning, he winked at her and looked at the candle closer in case she didn't want him looking at her. Thank God he looked away, she thought, as she had the sudden urge to bake cookies on him. Changing the subject, Claire asked, "So, how's the army?" "It's doing pretty well. There were cooler people this time around. The last base was filled with assholes." Claire thought harshly, "That would be because you were there too. Birds of a feather. What have you been up to, Claire?" He was trying to keep the conversation light and casual, but it seemed it wasn't working out as well as he had hoped. Nevertheless, she at least answered, "I've been sick. Since the day you left, I've been sick. It's been over a month and a half, and I just got over it. I lost 10 pounds because I wasn't able to keep anything down." "Are you serious? You don't have 10 pounds to lose. Have you been missing work?" "No, I never miss work. You know that. It doesn't matter if I'm sick or not. They don't care." David stared at her body and took in the signs. She was paler than normal, her nose was a little red, and she was much skinnier than the last time he saw her. Trying to keep it light, he continued, "At least, how was your Thanksgiving?" She grimaced. "It was good, the first time around. Second time, not so much. Sorry, Claire. It really sucks." "You're right, because I really love eating, you know that." He was grateful for her more frivolous comment. He moved and sat down on the couch. The cushion was still flipped upside down from where she tried to hide the stain she'd made by scaring him while he had a drink in his hand. "It never did come out," Claire remarked, staring at the cushion. "No matter what I did, it stuck. I tried everything, every cleaning product, couldn't get the stain out. I even thought about just cutting it out of the fabric altogether, but I could never bring myself to do it. I've just had the couch for too long. It means so much to me. There are so many memories associated with it. So I just kept it the way it was because it worked, and you do what you can to save the one you love." "The one you love? Are we still talking about the couch?" "I mean, to save the couch you love. Am I like some sort of stain in your life's cushion?" "No! What are you, Claire? You're like my truck." "Excuse me?" "You're like a first car. You have it for a long time, and when problems first arise, you get them fixed." Claire stared motionless at what David was saying. "I'm being compared to a car?" "However, when larger problems start cropping up, you figure it's time to trade it in for a new one." "Oh, great, and thanks, David. Now I'm your used car you traded in? You really know how to charm a girl." You start looking at all the new models with all the new accessories, and yet, in the back of your mind, you just want to find one that is exactly like your first car but fixed. What are you getting at? So after all the time you spent shopping for a new car, you just decide to stick with your first car because you're willing to spend more money to fix that one since you don't have the heart to trade her in for someone new. David looked expressionless towards her. Trade her in? Claire whispered. By saying her, I meant the car. But you said someone new. By saying that, I meant that I was just as good at subtle metaphors as you. Are you saying that I love you, Claire? What? She breathed. He stood and grabbed her arms. Claire, I love you. I thought you'd like to know. Her heart stopped. Did he really just say that? How am I still standing here when nothing in my body is working? How is he still able to take my breath away? She couldn't move, or she chose not to move. She hadn't figured that one out yet, but all she knew was that time had stopped. Time had never moved so slowly. Even the wind outside slowed to a halt and the sun hid behind the clouds. David couldn't tell what she was thinking. All he knew was that she wasn't moving. She still seemed to be conscious and alive because he could feel her veins pumping through her arms, but she didn't speak. Afraid that he had said something wrong, like usual, he sighed. If you don't feel that way about me, it's okay, but I just wanted to tell you. Nothing has to come of it. Another one of my wins, I guess. Maybe I'm not thinking right. I'm sorry to put you on the spot. Claire seemed to have woken up. No! Please, don't take it back, please. I want it to be true. I need it to be true because I love you. Please, don't change your mind about me so quickly. Tears streamed down her face at the thought of losing it all in a single moment like before. David took her into her arms. Even though she spoke into his arm, her words pierced his chest. I thought you wanted to date other people. You said you wanted to and you just left. Truthfully, I thought I did. I was desperate to date other people. I couldn't. No one was good enough. I was even kissed by another woman. When he said this, he saw a single tear run down her wet cheek. At these words, the world caved in on her and her heart collapsed under the weight of jealousy and sorrow. How was she? Afraid of his next words, she closed her eyes tightly. She was pretty horrible, actually. It reminded me that I didn't know what I'd lost until it was gone. A lesson well learned, I'm afraid, but I just wish it hadn't taken so long to admit it to you. I just didn't want to put you through waiting for me while I was away. No matter what you did, I waited all the same for you, conscious or not. You were always on my mind, every day. Claire hugged him tighter, not wanting to leave her grasp, but he didn't make any sign that he was letting go either. Holding on to her tiny frame, she felt totally in his control. He stroked her soft hair, smelling the familiar floral scent. Not knowing he would come, she hadn't put on his favorite perfume, but she smelled breathtakingly amazing without it. They held each other for what felt like hours, but were only a few minutes. Taking a heaving breath, Claire pulled away to look at him. Her urge to cry was ceased with his smile. She could be angry, depressed, lonely, or any other emotion, but would always warm up with his smile. His lips blanketed her with the idea that everything would be all right. She loved this trait about him and wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. More importantly, she wouldn't trade him for anything in the world. She'd give her life for him. This insight put her heart into perspective. She loved him more than life. Claire? David spoke seductively, pulling her by the arm outside her front door. Yes? She breathed. Will you kiss me under the mistletoe? She looked up, seeing he had placed them beneath the plant she had hung up earlier. The wind blew slightly, bringing in the spirit of Christmas. I loved you. She threw up her arms around his neck and pulled him down to her level. Standing on her toes, she kissed him. The kiss was the same as 2 months ago, the softest and most passionate kiss she had ever given and received. So that's where I'm going to end it, because there's a big scene that's about to happen, and I see a couple choice words, and oh my goodness, that will be fun to read. So the finale video might come out sooner than a month, and we can experience whether I'm going to be very happy with the ending or very disappointed. We'll experience it together. So either way, I hope you enjoyed this video. Otherwise, I will see you next week.